Does this work? Is it changing people's lives for the better? Can we say, after we take money and put it into a certain endeavor, that it was worth actually having it away from the taxpayers?
That was Bill Clinton, president back then, asking some pretty probing questions about government efficiency and his efforts at reinventing government. That's what they call it. It was an initiative that flowed through his entire administration, both terms, that did, in fact, reduce the size of the federal workforce by about 429,000 employees. Now, that might seem, at first glance, similar to what Elon Musk is up to. But the administrator of that Clinton-era program tells our Robert Costa that DOGE is going about it the wrong way.
There's a total lack of transparency. We don't know who they're cutting. There's no rationale for why they're cutting. They're saying these people are wasteful. What do you mean? What are they doing that is a waste of taxpayers' money? We've gotten none of this. This is just a sort of slash and burn exercise.
Robert Costa joins me now. That's kind of the point, the slash and burn part of it, to do it rapidly, to do it in public, and to do it with people in Washington and lots of other agencies to be freaked out. The Trump White House wants that absorbed by the public at large and specifically Trump supporters.
That's exactly right, Major. In terms of the idea, there is an overlap between what happened in the early 1990s, and you've documented it so well in your own reporting in your book, The Enduring Revolution. There was an impetus in both parties in the early 90s to shrink the federal government. Why? There was a belief
and to modernize it and make it more tech-savvy, if possible.
That's exactly right. It was during the dawn of the internet age, and there was a belief that government could be reformed, overhauled, and made smaller. What's different now with Elon Musk, as we've covered at CBS, and I've spent some time at Sunday Morning doing this, is the method. The method of Elon Musk is so different than what we saw with Elaine K. Mark and the Clinton administration. And it's even different than what we saw with former House Speaker Newt Gingrich and his efforts in 1995 to really disrupt the federal government. You see now the executive branch acting in a much more aggressive way. In the 1990s, there was a belief that the norms still mattered, that you wanted to have kind of this blue ribbon commission, this initiative, you wanted to go through Congress.
Have these things flow through Congress, the workforce reductions through attrition, not filling positions, letting things sort of atrophy on their own without taking the symbolic or actual chainsaw to the federal workforce right off the jump.
And this is built on what happened in the 1990s. Part of the fun of doing the reporting on this piece is to remember what you and I have discussed for a long time, that 1992, 1994, the echoes of those moments in American politics still matter now. The outsider ethos of Buchanan and Perot in 1992. And then in 1994, 1995, Newt Gingrich said, we're going to turn over the table of government. And you can trace what's happening now with Musk and President Trump to what happened then. But you see now Trump and his allies empowered because they believe they have a mandate from the election, and they have this foundation in the Republican Party that they're ready to move in this direction.
And you spoke to former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, who remains close to President Trump and many in the Trump White House. Let's listen.
One of the virtues of being as wealthy as he is he hardly needs to rig the game.
But who has oversight then over Musk at this point?
Donald J. Trump.
That's it.
He is the chief executive officer of the United States. He was elected by the American people, and he's acting as the president of the United States.
You know, Newt Gingrich told me after the contract with America and everything he went through to try to turn over the table of government in the mid-90s that it was the federal bureaucracy that any successful president who wanted to overturn things in Washington had to attack. He's believed that for decades.
And that has filtered into the Republican Party throughout the country. Why is Elon Musk able to go into USAID and so many other agencies and say, with a broad swipe, you're all up to really, in his view, no good when it comes at least to the budgetary arrangements at a lot of these agencies? Because rhetorically and politically, people like Newt Gingrich have laid the groundwork for Elon Musk to do what he's doing now. And it's intriguing. There is a through line from Gingrich to Trump. In fact, the Wall Street Journal this week has a profile of the head of domestic policy at the White House, someone they say is the most powerful person you've never heard of. His name is Vince Haley. He was Gingrich's longtime political advisor, now a top political advisor for President Trump.
So part of this conversation nationwide, Robert, is some pushback from Democrats and some activism. Some town halls are getting a little bit contentious. And right now, as we speak, Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are on the western part of the United States holding some pretty large rallies. What's your perspective and reporting on that?
I believe as a reporter, it's very important to track what's going on in Colorado today with Representative Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders. Newt Gingrich, Pat Buchanan, Ross Perot, Donald Trump. How are they all the same? They're movement politicians. They galvanize movements of people who are often not very political around their ideas, their campaigns. What's happening now with Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez is a movement on the left. You're seeing frustrations among Democrats in traditional town hall meetings toward elected officials. But you're also seeing growing traction on the left for this argument that Elon Musk and Donald Trump and others close to the president are so-called oligarchs, that billionaires are running the country. And this hasn't captured the whole Democratic Party as an argument they're going to make in 26 or 28, but it's gaining steam. And you have to pay attention to movements when they're drawing thousands of people in this political time where it's really winter, politically speaking. We're years away from the midterms and the next presidential, but you're seeing thousands of people come out for Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez. And it'd be easy to say they're all progressives, they're all just the Bernie people from 15, 16, and 20. But we saw in 16 and 20, Bernie often drew from working people who weren't necessarily involved in politics. So both parties are paying attention.
Your point being energy matters. Keep an eye where you see energy.
That's exactly right.
Robert Costa, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being with me.